I'm Allison Snyder, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make 2 loaves of sourdough at the same time. So what I have here is a cup of sourdough starter. Normally I would use a half a cup for each loaf, so I'm going to put 2 loaves of my starter in a bowl. And I'm going to mix that with the water. That's the first thing I'm going to do. The first step is to make a cloudy liquid using the water and starter. Normally I would do, for water, I would do 1 1/3 cup, but I'm going to do 2, and then I'm going to do 1/3 twice. So here's 2 cups of water, and then
you can see that.
1/3 and 1/3. I'm going to mix that around until it's a cloudy consistency. And I've said this before, you can use your hands to do this.
What is a cloudy consistency?
Just cloudy, so it's not clear anymore. You mix that around, depending on how much time you have. You can mix it till it's completely dissolved. And then I would normally add 4 cups of flour. I'm going to add 8 cups of flour.
And viewers, even though this looks...
And make sure that when you do add your flour, you should either... You fluff it up first. You want to make sure you fluff up your flour first so it's not so dense. You can either go like this and scoop into your cup, or if you get really good at it, you can figure out how to get it. I'll show you the other way. So
And viewers, even though this looks like a very gross cloudy consistency,
that's 4.
It will look very beautiful at the end.
And then the other way to do it is after you fluff it up in here, you make sure that you're not like packing it in here. You want to make sure that the flour falls into the cup.
And make sure if it's like above, you must shave it. You must shave the flour, the top
And then
of the flour.
here's the other way to do it. That way you make sure it's not densely packed in here, otherwise there'll be too much flour.
What is density?
Densely is too tightly packed. So, and then you use like a knife to make sure you fill in the measuring cup all the way, and then you scrape it off.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to add just a couple more tablespoons. I'm going to add 4 more tablespoons, 2 more per loaf. So then for my salt, on the last one I didn't add salt until after an hour of letting the flour and water sit, but I'm going to add salt in the beginning this time because it really doesn't make that big of a difference. So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt per loaf. Now this does not have to be exact, and it'd be between 5 grams and 10 grams of
what does
salt
grams mean?
if you use a scale. I have used a scale to weigh this out, and I've pretty much figured out that it doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't have to be that precise.
And I checked that for some reason on the scale, the jar is very, very, very hot. So if you have a scale of that Allison uses, do not touch the jar or else you could get a burn on your hand.
Now, like I said, I usually have gloves, but I'm out of them right now. But really the best way to do this is to use your hands, because you're not going to get this into the shape you want by using a spoon. So you would just bring this together, and this is what shaggy looks like. Some bakers will say shaggy is okay, but
it looks like shaves of somebody's head.
But I don't like that. So what I do is I just mix it as much as I can to get it as much in a smooth ball shape as I can, and then I just add more water with my fingers. And the reason why you do it with your fingers is because that's just a slow way of adding water. You don't want to add too much water, although it's better to have a little bit more water than to have it be really dry. And we will talk about hydration in our next video, but basically hydration is the amount of water that you have
and it's also
compared to the amount of flour. And a lot of bakers, so I'm gonna now I feel like it's getting to the point where it's all absorbed.
And hydration is
So I'm gonna
also
add some water.
important for your body.
So normally what I would do is just get my fingers wet under the faucet like this. You might have dough on your hands and stuff. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Because fun
So
fact,
I would just wet my
half of your
hands.
body is made.
And then I would put after I wet my hands, I would put them back in here. And I would do this by the faucet, by the side of the faucet. And I would just keep dipping my hands under the faucet like this. I'll bring this bowl over here. I would just go like this. I would keep that running. And I would just keep running my hands under the faucet until I get all the flour absorbed. And I get this into a ball shape. And I get it wet enough so that I feel like it's not dry around the edges.
And fun fact, more than half of your body is made of water. So make sure to stay hydrated, kids.
Okay. So when you're done, and I also learned that if I wanted to measure how much water I'm actually putting on here extra, I could just do it at the beginning. But I don't want to do that. I want to just do it because the circumstances are always different, like the humidity in the room and all that. I want to just do it instead of doing a pre-measured. I want to do it as I feel, because getting a feel for how this all works is really the best way to do it. And nobody can really teach that. You have to learn it on yourself. So you start somewhere and then you make your own adjustments. So this is how it is now. It's all sort of in a ball. It's not perfect. It's not smooth, but it is wet. And actually, more hydrated dough is actually better than, you want to have at least 70% hydration, and that means you can go online and find a hydration calculator, and they'll ask you questions like how much flour are you adding, how much salt are you adding, and how much water, and then it'll tell you a percent. And 70% or higher is the best hydration. And what some bakers say is, or experts say, I should say, is that if you want bigger holes, to go higher hydration. But you have a whole nother set of challenges to deal with when you have high hydration. It's very hard and difficult to handle the dough, and your dough doesn't get a good enough crust on it. I found that I'll do a show that shows a more high hydrated bread and versus a regular medium hydrated versus a low hydrated, and you'll be able to see the way it looks and the way the crust forms is different. Higher hydration has a glossier, paler crust. Medium hydration has a firmer, more crisp crust, and then lower hydration has even a harder crust. So I did wet this towel, and I'm putting this plastic over it, and now I'm gonna set it in the oven. My lower oven has been on. Because it says plastic, so I don't want to have it melt. So I'm putting it on a tray. My lower oven is on because I'm going to bake some bread. So this is warm. Otherwise, I would turn this on warm and then let it warm up for a while and turn it off. I have a warming setting on my oven. You don't, and then I have this handy thermometer that measures the air and humidity. And I always just leave it on here to make sure it doesn't get higher than 82 degrees. And the yeast does most well at between 78 and 82. If you go a little bit higher, it's okay, but you don't want to get it too high that the yeast is killed. 100 degrees too high, 95 really too high. But the colder it is, the slower your bread will break, the protein will break down, the gluten will form. And so depending on how much of a hurry you're in, the longer you let it sit, the better the flavor will be. And so, it depends on what you're looking for. But for now, we're just gonna leave it like this, and we'll be next to show stretching and folding.
And make sure to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications to Little Red Panda.